my father's friends who used to ask my father, "Oh, what is your daughter going to do after MBBS?" And my dad was like, "She's going to do MBA." And like those people would tell my dad, "Oh, you don't know, it would be MS or MD." And my dad would be like, "Oh, I know what my daughter is going to do." So
So, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to CAT 2021 Weekends. And in this episode, I have a special guest with me, Dr. Nuhad. Yes, she's a doctor, and she is now going to join a B school. And to know more, let's talk to Nuhad. Nuhad, tell me your story. So, what you do? What have you done? And where are you heading?
so hello everyone. My name is Nuhad Bardai, and I just graduated in the month of February. Did my MBBS. I'm a doctor now, and I'm heading to a B school, specifically IIM Bangalore. So when I talk about why this shift and why I want to do MBBS and then MBS, I've always believed that you want to do something that you enjoy. If you don't, you just find something else that you enjoy. And that's how we humans are. We want something different every now and then. And while my entire purpose of doing medicine was to bring about a change, do something that may affect humanity at large. And medicine was some very direct way to bring about that. Through that 5.5 years, I realized that I really do not enjoy the clinical aspect of it, and I would want to go into the management aspect of it. And that's when I came across the MBA and how there are various career opportunities for people like us, for doctors who want to do MBA. So I started my preparation while I was in my internship, and the pandemic struck. So yeah, it was the COVID duties and the MBA preparation that was going hand in hand. But luckily, I had a lot of guidance from my seniors and the mentors, and helped me to reach the place that I'm heading to.
Wonderful. So you've been very honest there. Thank you. There. So let me now break it down to small part and ask you a few things.
Yeah,
So so I've seen doctors doing MBA. So you're not obviously the first person that I've seen,
yeah.
but it's still pretty rare that doctors do MBA. So I would want to do is your friends and your colleagues and your faculty members. So how did they react? Did they know that you're actually doing this? Was it a secret back then, or how was your whole experience of as someone? I don't know how many of your batchmates were considered doing an MBA. So what is that whole experience being the lone person
Going
doing
to do it.
something very different?
On this Friday, like a couple of days back, when I actually saw that I was offered a place, I cried. And those were the tears of relief more than happiness, so that I don't have to answer questions that why I am doing it, or am I enough, or will I be able to do it? Like being a doctor who has left doing math since 6, 7 years. So it was relief that I don't have to answer questions. I never lied or did hide about doing MBA. It was upfront, and my parents were the first people who actually knew, and they've been very supportive. So they're like, do whatever you want. We just want you to be very thorough with what you're planning to do in your life. And my friends were very supportive. They always knew I was going to do something different. That's how I've been. So they're like, we expect from you to do something like that. But my seniors or faculty members, they always had this thought that why did you go on to do MBBS when you wanted to do MBA? And why not leave everything again and do MS or MD? And we need more doctors, or this is something sort of the box. We never heard people doing MBA. And then I had to sit down and explain that, okay, this is how I'm going to do it, or these are the places I'm going to. These are the people who have done it, and that is what they have done. They were actually my father's friends who used to ask my father, "Oh, what is your daughter going to do after MBBS?" And my dad was like, "She's going to do MBA." And like those people would tell my dad, "Oh, you don't know, it would be MS or MD." And my dad would be like, "Oh, I know what my daughter is going to do." So that is how it has been. It has been very bittersweet. But those people closest to me have been very supportive of my decision.
Yeah, good, good. So it's for example, a lot of people say that every second engineer is doing an MBA. So you would be in the college very different, and you did do that. Okay. So I want to. So when you decided to do an MBA,
Yeah.
what was some of the things that probably, I don't know whether I have to use the word scared you, but at least things that were uh, challenging in your preparation process. What would be those things? If you can share, that would be great.
Yeah, it was actually scary at the start. I didn't know anything about MBA. So every single year I used to find something like UPSC or some other opportunities that can be, I have after my MBBS. So I had that MBA is something, but I didn't know how to move ahead. Um, just normal questions like someone who's starting that, oh, will I be able to get in? Are my marks sufficient? Or do I stand a chance? And so I spoke to a couple of seniors from my college who went to IIM Calcutta or IIM Ahmedabad, and they actually pretty much guided me about when should I start studying, if I need more preparation. The one thing I was very worried about was quants.
Yeah.
Yeah, the math aspect. So till I mean my 10th grade, I was quite good at it, but then it was 10th grade, and this is quite different.
But it's still
So
10th, no? It's
it
still
is, it
10th.
is, it is. It's just very different. The approach is very different, right? You find the easier ones, you solve those. You leave that is supposed to be left. So that was more about how to utilize your time and to pick up the questions which you can solve. So it is pretty much easy, and that is what I realized after actually talking to people and starting my journey that it is not something to be scared of. Um, and then there were a lot of questions about how a doctor would survive MBA once I get in, because chalo ye to, I mean I would do CAT, I would clear, but what if I actually join a B school? How difficult does it get for someone like me? Because I'll be surrounded by people who would have at least done mathematics, whether it be engineers or someone who's from BBA, BCom, or those sort of backgrounds. So yeah, pretty much it's just that you have to take first step.
Okay, so let me. So you did do that, and so let me talk your preparation. So I think that when did you start your preparation?
I started in the month of February. So we have our exam in the month of November. I started in February 2020.
And if I'm if I know that the COVID hit and you actually were doing COVID duty during that period of time, but explain that time and whether it was challenging or what happened. I'm sure that that is one experience that will change anybody's life. Uh, that going through, and you were on the forefront and fighting it out and serving, and I must say, on behalf of everyone, all my audience, thank you for the service that you did, and obviously continue doing. So tell me through that period of time, how was your preparation and stuff?
I actually decided back in my final year that whatever happens, I was going to go on to pursue management. So I started preparing once my final year was done and I started my internship. It was the month of February. So it's pretty much sorted about how I'll go ahead, which books or which questions I'll solve, how much time I'll be giving every day with my rotations. So we go on through different clinical rotations, right, from medicine, surgery, everything. So I planned everything that this is the month I'll be doing this is something I'll be doing exam. I mean, doing before my actual CAT or this many mocks I'll be solving. And suddenly, a month into it, the pandemic started. And initially, everyone, even the doctors, didn't know what to do about it. So, and we were just interns who actually lended into the practical and the clinical aspect. So initially, we weren't supposed to go on to join the frontline thing, but it was in the month of April actually that we were asked to join the force, and initially it was really really tiring because 8 hours in that PPE kit without drinking or I mean, even using washers, that those tiny things, and it was very tiring. So I used to come back and go off to sleep. In the first round of my COVID duty, first 7 days, didn't open a book, like didn't just it was like left away, and so once I started going through COVID duties, I actually planned about how I'll do those things hand in hand. And so after those 8 hours, I used to anyways find time for a couple of hours, that I have to sit down and at least solve a passage or solve a few questions of quant or solve one set of LRDI and give that so that it doesn't break my rhythm. And then I used to have a period of quarantine, those 7 days. I used to take a break and those I used to cover everything in those 7 days.
As a doctor, I'm guessing, I'm not too sure. I, is that studying is not a problem. At least putting in effort is not a problem.
Yes.
Fighting is not a problem. You also did well in your college, I think.
I did. I was a university topper throughout, throughout
Yeah.
those 4 years of examination. Yes,
So you this is stuff that you know. So that 7 days quarantine did help you.
it
Uh,
did.
so how many hours would you be putting in during those time whenever you get those time for
It
your
used to be around 8, 9 hours actually, because I had to cover everything. Generally, I believe that 3, 4, 5 hours a day, every day is sufficient. So genuinely, so it is not the quality of the time that matters. I mean, I might be very, I mean, advising people, but it is genuinely the quantity. I didn't put a lot of time when I used to be working, but then when I was not, I used to put in a lot of time. So. Um, 7 to 8 to 9 hours in that period was actually very sufficient.
okay. So so how did you plan your prep? Did you join a full-fledged course what was the resources that you used? How was the whole plan of preparation for you?
Um, yes, I did join a couple of classes before actually start. I mean, I did start preparing. However, there were times when I thought that I joined it because I felt that I needed help. I needed someone to guide me, and it is really important that you have someone who is prepared students for years and years. So that was one sole purpose to go on to join those classes, and the material that comes really helps. So I was just focused on doing that, whatever came from there, and solving the mock tests or daily tests. I joined VR 3000 actually. I was pretty much good with the one thing that I was very confident about was my English.
Okay.
I've read a lot of novels. I have been into reading. I've been good with grammar and a lot of other things, but this was very different. So initially, I was scoring really well, and suddenly, I just from 99 percentile, I dropped to 60, 70, 80 percentile, and I was so
What?
shocked. I was so shocked. It wasn't supposed to be that way. And then suddenly, I came across VR 3000. I didn't know anything about it, and I was like, okay, if that helps, let me try. And
So you're basically what you're saying that you are very good. The fact that you became a student is that some random act happened. Your scores went down. You suddenly joined some course. That's what happened. That's how you.
No, I was good at it, but then I realized that the approach is not right, and I need someone to actually. So there were people who were telling me how to do it or what to do, and that was not helping me out. And this was a chance thing that happened, but then that actually helped me. And after that, I was up there. I scored a 99.83 in my actual CAT examination, and I still remember. Okay, this is how you. Find something and negate these options, and you find that is right, and this is a suicide option, and that was still in my head while I was solving it. So that approach helped me more than anything. I believe it is the approach and how you go on to see. I mean, you are someone who studied and went on where you were. I think you were not never a VRC faculty. You teach in a manner that is all about
Uh,
the approach.
I'm a VRC faculty by accident.
Yeah.
So I
So, but
have.
then
Yeah. So but what about maths? So I think that for a lot of non-engineers who probably will be watching, a lot of scared of this maths journey. How did you handle maths? What was your uh, modus operandi, so to speak, in terms of figuring out maths?
before I did start any classes or did anything, I actually started with basic 8th, 10th CBSE textbooks. I don't know why. I just went through, I just wanted to have an idea about if I am there in that state of mind to actually, attempt something. So I looked on in those textbooks, solved a few questions, and then I sat down with the actual material. For me, it was very important to have that state of mind that now I had to accept that fact that this is what I'm going to do for next year. So, and then I started with basic multiplication and the fast mathematics, right, that we do. like the calculation, because that is like the basics, and that is really, really important when it comes to CAT. You cannot open the calculator and solve it. It's very, very, I mean, it's a bad idea to do it. You cannot waste that time. And then I went on to start with arithmetic. And that is something I believe that non-engineers find that helpful. And that is easier than when it comes to other parts of quants like the geometry or algebra. So simple profit and loss, or percentages and everything. And then I went on to do the algebra and geometry. What I did was, before watching any class or attending an online class, I used to try and watch the recorded videos that were available and
Okay.
solve beforehand, so that I was prepared with.
But you for maths you didn't study with us, right?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
So whom did you study with?
I was with IMS and Endeavor actually. I was simultaneously, I joined in Endeavor, but I was with IMS Maximizer program that had night classes that was for advanced kids. But it was basically Endeavor that I was with.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
basically you studied everywhere.
Yeah, I did, because I wanted to have an idea about how things work. And I realized that, okay, whatever helps me, I will pick everything. Whatever helps me is fine. If it doesn't, it's all right. I leave that.
Oh, wonderful. So good. So I'm guessing that everybody would be claiming your success now.
Uh, there were people just like you, some other mentors who said it was all you know. We knew that you were going to do something good, but yeah, there are, and I am grateful. I'm grateful for whatever, because whatever I've gained, I didn't have any idea at all. So
Yeah.
whatever things I just could grab was of help and helped me reach wherever I am.
Now I mean that's what you should have to do. But basically, my take is that these days so many things are available online. So in the earlier I was speaking to Tamogna as well, and I was speaking to
Yeah,
others as well. Is that since a lot of things are available, it is all important in terms of you figuring out what works best for you.
exactly.
Right. So whether this works best for you, that works best for you, and I'm sure that anyone who trains, it trains with the purpose of ensuring that the kid does
They
well
get
also.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's other person's choice to figure out what works best and then take the density input. Very good. So so you had that. So what is it? The maths score was up down and all.
It was. It
Hmm?
was like pretty much over the baseline when I started. And I started giving mocks early. I started in the month of April. My senior said that even if you're not prepared, you should actually have that sort of environment. When I started giving the sectional tests or the mock tests, I did do pretty well. And then there were a couple or three, four strategies that actually are advised, right? So that works for some things work for people, some things don't work for people. And I started applying those things, finding easy questions, doing those, and eventually I realized that if I find the easier ones and make sure that I'm accurate, like 100% or 95% accurate, I'll just come out with flying colors or whatever is necessary for me, because see, cat is all about I don't know, I mean, it is different for different people coming from different background. It is tougher for engineers because there are so many engineers going in. For me, I knew what I had to do. I had to I didn't have to go on to have 99.99%.
Because of your profile.
Exactly, exactly. So I knew what was sufficient for me. If I go on to attempt 13, 14 questions and all were correct, I might as well score 99%.
Okay.
I didn't even or doing anything. It was all about accuracy.
So what I'm hearing is few things from what you said. Like if I have to make a quick summary, number one, I heard that you understood your strength, weaknesses,
Yeah.
your problems. Number three is that you knew very clearly what is the target that you have to achieve.
Yes.
So and then you created a plan, which I'm guessing is a plan which had getting as many scores as from verbal as possible.
Yes. Yes.
Ensure that your math is just there so that you can clear the cutoff, and overall ensuring that whatever is the percentile that is required for me given my profile, whatever the percentile that is required, I should get that
Be
and
there.
get a call.
Yes.
So which means, and then you went and started your preparation, and then
Yes,
you also picked up stuff that was available, which one worked
yes,
along the way. That's what you did, right?
yes,
And that's a learning for all of you. Is that starting with familiarizing with the test and knowing yourself and not blindly do something. I think that would be my takeaway from what he's saying.
yes.
Another thing I want to ask you is the interview process. I think that given the fact that you are a doctor uh, would have been a slightly different, if, at least from the interviewer point of view. If I were an interviewer, you're the person who is a doctor. I'm going to meet very less, maybe one or two, maybe or three. I don't know how many I would meet as an interviewer. How was your experience during the whole interview process?
So I start from the time my CAT result came in. I didn't expect a lot of calls actually, but then that is how our system is. It takes in your account your 10th, your 12th, your undergrad, your profile at a large, and so even though I was associated with a couple of classes, I thought I needed personal attention when it came to when I started getting calls, and that's how I joined your
Purpose.
CDP. Yes, I came back uh, because that's how I have been. So even though when I say that I would go to a lot of people, I would take in one person and I would take that advice. So just follow that religiously, and if you do it, that is sufficient. So I am Cody Code. I am Bangalore, FMS Delhi, IIFT Delhi, CAP, NMIM are some of the calls that I had. The most important being I am Bangalore. And you have to write an SOP, the most important aspect. And that is when you came in the picture, right? So we had like, I don't know, 5, 6 times we did that back and forth, and we came up and to decide that this is what goes in my SOP and my journey. So my interview preparation was more of those classes, the current affair classes we had, regular reading, the newspaper, novels, because it helps in the discussion meanwhile, and the mock interviews. So the good thing about mock, I mean, of course, because I was with other classes as well, I had mocks there as well. But over here, the important thing was that whatever mocks I did was with people from the industry as well, right? There were people who are alumni and who were working somewhere, and then I had to come to you to get those corrections, and that was the best part because I would always come down and say, okay, this person is saying this, but sir, we decided to say or go on with this story, like, okay, Nuhad, let us find what goes wrong and then come up with a plan about how we are going, and that actually helped. So my I am Bangalore interview is like, why MBA? And I was like, this decided answer, and like, this is something you would have prepared, tell me something candid. And I didn't have to do it because I was like, this is very candid, this is me, I didn't have to prepare for it. This is it. So my interviews were all about because I'm a doctor going on to do MBA. Majority of my interviews and major part of it was why MBA. And for everyone, every non-engineer out there, or even the engineers, it is very important that everyone finds a reason because someday or other you will come across that question and you have to answer it, and they pick you up on that. They know if you are saying it right or wrong.
Yeah, so
So
typically the questions about why MBA is not as common, to be
for
very honest.
everyone else,
But it'll be very common for
yes,
you. It'll be very common for people who have done some exotic subjects.
exactly.
So it's like that this is not the usual profile that they get. So it's but I think the part of it I believe that is pure curiosity. They would
Indeed,
really want to know. I think that they'll be very pleasantly surprised that you took that plunge and really want to know. I think it's about that more than
indeed,
anything else. And
and
I'm
yeah,
sorry, you were saying something.
and it majorly my mocks actually helped. It gave me a lot of confidence about how I was speaking or if my flow was correct, if I was leading the interviewer to ask me what I wanted them to ask me. So and that helped me to drive the actual interviews as well. And majority of them were around the GDP or whatever I had read, right? Like the budget or the AI or medicine or pharma sector, and they made sure that some of them that they asked me about COVID, some made sure that they didn't because they're like, of course we know that you worked in COVID, you would know, we would know about it. So don't just bring that up, bring something else, you know. So it was an interesting journey. The best, I
Okay.
would say, the interview preparation was the best part.
Yeah. I think it's always because you realize more about you during that
Yes.
self. You hardly spend time on yourself thinking about what you're doing, why you're doing. I think that 1 month is uh, everybody should prepare for an interview like that genuinely wants to prepare an interview rather than trying to sell something. It's really trying to figure out who they are and present the best self. Hmm.
Yeah, indeed, that was our first conversation, right? Like on the first day when we met and we had this entire chart and okay, tell me everything that is there to put on board and then we just start. So
Yeah, it was fun.
yes,
So, Nuhad or Dr. Nuhad, so I should address
yes.
you like that. Yeah. So, what would be your, let's say, the advice to those of you who are not an engineer, not the profile, and fearful about taking this step, and what and the journey itself, and the fact that maths is something that I have to do. I have to do DLR. It's a cat sound that sounds very tough. What would be your advice to them?
The first thing is don't go on looking on the internet for what am I going to do? I mean, how much percentile is required? How much is this or whatever is required? And listen to so many people at one time. I think the first step for anyone is be very thorough because when someone like a doctor, especially I'll talk about that because there are other non-engineers as well. You go on to decide why you're taking that thing. You have to be very thorough with your decision because you know that you might not be going back to what you were doing. And you need to know that if you're enjoying or not enjoying that thing. So be very thorough with what you decide to do. Take a leap of faith. Things will fall in place. If you take the first step, you will eventually realize what has to be done. No one can know everything at the start. So take a step and then just go on taking steps. Just be aware
Yeah.
about what is happening around. For math or DI, I mean LRDI or those parts, even some of, I mean, it is not even necessary that non-engineers are always great with English or the VRC portion, right? Practice practice is really important. So while we say that clearing your concepts is really important, but going on to do that thing again and again and having that thing in mind is really important. Apart from that, listening to people who have gone through that process. I mean, not everyone at a time, but find some particular person who has similar background, similar profile, and your mentors who have trained people like you. Like listen to them religiously, they know more than you could ever know. I mean, I'm not talking about the predictions or anything else, but at least to guide you about, okay, this is how this has to be studied, or this is how a question is solved, and give enough time, like to yourself and to what you are doing. um, because nothing can happen overnight. You might be very depressed at start that this is happening, this is not happening. Even after I came out of my cat, like writing it, I thought that okay, I didn't do the right thing by writing this exam, or oh, was it the right thing to go on to do MBBS because I was blank. I mean, that was how my experience was after I came out of writing that paper. It wasn't that great. I don't know why I felt at that moment, and there are going to be those times, but then you have to move on to another thing that is coming up. So don't be scared. Take that first step, and everything will fall in place.
Okay. So if I were to in terms of what I heard, listened, what you're saying is number one is don't think, first do
Yes,
something.
so much. Yes.
Okay. Thinking is a waste of time. Just start and figure out stuff along the way. You're also saying that you will not find answers to everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so you say start the step and ensure that you know yourself and learn and create a process and keep on going. Number two, you said that have a mentor.
Yes.
Okay, with all those things, the multiple things that happens everywhere, it can be anyone. That's what I'm hearing. It can be a senior, but have a mentor who knows the stuff.
Exactly.
Uh, This is, I think, the doctor in you saying that. I think as a doctor, you would want to have somebody who is authority in the particular subject.
Instead of authority, I always thought that there are times when you don't know whom to go to while preparing. So I have experienced it. Has been my personal experience. I have been very, very because I had those COVID things going on, and I there were times when I just wanted to vent out a lot of things. Wanted to know that okay, am I doing the right things? I didn't know. So it's very important at those times to have someone to tell you that it
Yeah.
is all right. It is all right. Okay.
So it can be your study buddy, but at least have some mentor. That is number two. And three is that take all the ups and downs in the strides and go through the whole process and ensure that reach till the very end. And don't worry about maths. Any problem, obviously you have to attack the problem and just hang in there. That's what I'm listening from you.
Yeah, yes, yes. You just have to be there. I mean, because there are times when you've done everything and you leave after doing everything. That is the time when you have to hang in the.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nuhad, for joining in. And thank you for all the service that you're doing for us. And I wish you a wonderful, wonderful time at IIM Bangalore. And hope that after some days I can actually meet you again and you're impacting a lot of people. Uh,
I hope so, sir. Thank you so much for just being there and doing everything that you did. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.